Hi, this is Bonnie, and if you remember the last video I did, I showed you how to make some moons on some really pretty paper that was already done in the background. So since that time, I have made several cards using those moons, and today I'm going to share one of those with you and how I made it. This is the one we're going to be working on today. And the stamps that we will be using will be from Fairy Hugs. This one is the sentiment called Music Speaks. I'm also going to be using the Fairy Note. I'm going to be using Julieta. And I'm going to be using the Gramophone. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I also have pulled out my ink. I'm going to be using VersaFine Clear Nocturne. I'm also going to be using M3 pencils, Prismacolor pencils. And I'm going to be using some gel sparkle pen, gel pen. So I'm going to go ahead and get my stamping platform ready and we'll get going. Okay, we're all ready to stamp. I've got two of my acetates already positioned on the card because I know how I did the other one. And I am doing this one horizontally instead of vertically, using my stamping platform horizontal because I want things to fit off to the side, and it would not fit off to the side if I had the card set the other way around. So always have to think about that when you go to put your paper on that you're stamping on, which direction you're going to have to overlap, because sometimes it will not overlap if it goes in this crease. So I am totally doing it horizontally this time. And I wanted to know she was the most important focus point, but I also want to make sure that I was able to put the petals of the leaf or the flower so that she'd be walking on them. So I had to position those two items on here to begin. All right, let's take a look. She looks really good. I think I'm going to have to put more washi tape on here. I know a lot of people use magnets, and for some reason my magnets, I still don't get the connection that I would like, and it's probably how I have this pad set up underneath. So something I need to practice. All right. Meanwhile, it works for me just fine this way. I have so much washi tape that it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's take a look this time. Yeah. She needs just a little bit more ink. All right, that's going to work for that. Our next step will be adding the gramophone so she can walk along the gramophone. And to do that, I wanted to make sure I have these petals in the right place. And according to that, this is the one she walks on. So we'll get that to go on there first, and then we'll work the other ones around it. And you can see what I'm saying, it's going to hang over. This way it wouldn't have mattered, but going this way it would definitely matter if I had flipped it. All right. Totally losing my washi tape today, so I need to have more. There we go. All right, so then we position the next one over here. And it doesn't really matter. Once I got that figured out, I can put this anywhere I want it. All right. I think I'm going to need more ink. I didn't go down far enough. Yep. I think I need just a tad bit more. I had to see which side I needed to stamp that. There we go. All right, that's perfect. Now let's move that over just a little bit because I'm putting the flowers all the way across. But I still need to have my washi tape. Okay. Now this one, she's going to have her foot walking up on that petal. So just position it just that way. And this is also to show you that you can use bits and pieces of stamps to create other things besides what they actually are. This flower is really pretty on the end of the gramophone. It's a really nice stamp anyway, but the flowers are great to do this at the bottom. Go add just a tad bit more. All right. And then I'm going to put just a little section of one at the very corner to balance things off. And again, you can just flip this around. I'm going to show you. I think you can see that. You can just flip this around because it's just the petals, and it works to fit in there. Now, if you wanted to overlap, you could have made a mask, and you can overlap it too. Okay. All right. So we have that walk space along the bottom. That went pretty quickly. And now we're going to go ahead and put some of the sentiment, and we're going to put the music note or fairy note along the top. So we need to position these so I can get an idea of where I'm going to be putting everything. And that's like how that's going to go. So I have the one on top. I'm going to do that one first. I love this fairy note. I love the wings. It's pretty. All right. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly in the same spot as what I did my other one, but it gave me a guide. Okay. All right, that worked out great. I'm going to need 3 of these, but I want to get the sentiment on there first. And I made it so that if you can take a look, the way the sentiment, I want to say indents in or goes in, and the sentiment goes in down here, it actually fits really good between the top of the guitar and the note. So that's how I'm balancing that. I always look at sentiments that way to give me an idea of how I can put other things around the sentiments. All right. Move that out of the way would be nice. I don't want extra ink. You really don't have to put a lot of pressure on the sentiments. They will get blurred. But this one I can see I should have added just a little bit more ink to that bottom. I also can tell, as usual, because I do so much stamping throughout the month, that my ink constantly has to be refilled. There, that's much better. Get this extra ink off. So now all we need to do is add the next 2 notes. I'm going to go ahead and show you my card again so you can see what we're creating. So I want to move this out of the way maybe. I'm going to have that also fit kind of like right there. I think that works. Have it turn just a little bit, maybe more. All right. And that will work there. And it's true, once you have stamped your images with ink, you don't need to use the sheets as much, but they help you with placement. If you want to put things together, you don't have to worry about ink getting on your card you're working on. All right. And one more. Okay. And we'll be done with one more. I'll get this over here. And that will be up there. And we will have the stamping completed. Now, the deal is this too, you do not have to color these in. I just like to because I think it's a little bit fun, and I like adding the, the color to them, but the color is in the background of your paper. You really don't need to. It's just something that I did. And it gives you an option. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off, and we'll get coloring. Okay, let's start coloring. I am going to be using Prismacolor pencils, but you could use any color pencils. And I'm just giving you an idea of what I'm using. This is going to be the darker of the colors that I have. So for each space in here, what's the closest to the center of the flower, I am just quickly adding the darkest color to the closest part of the center of the flower. Not making it a big deal. The center of the flower isn't over here, but I'm just going to put that on the edge, like the center of the flower is going to be close. Now, if you want to do more detail, you go through here and give a little bit of shading to each petal, but this is the quick version. If you want to do more detail, think about each petal and how there would be shading between each petal. And you can do it that way. This is the quick version. If you like to color, I would totally take your time because it is very fun to color these because they're rather quick no matter what. Okay, so we've got the darkest color on each one of the petals. We're going to continue with this color on the rest of the image, and that is going to be the wings. The closest part to the fairy will be where the most shadow would be, and I sometimes will extend that just to give it a little bit of depth on the inside of each one. And I'm going to be honest with you, this did move when I stamped it, and so I am not getting the definition on that fairy that I did with the first one. I really want you to see that's the definition you will normally get if your paper does not move. If your paper moves, you're going to get a little bit more of a blur. She's still fine, she's pretty, but if you want more of that definition, make sure that your paper is adhered well to your platform. All right, so then the next color we're going to be using is Mineral Orange. And this again, I'll show you the difference in colors. You can see there's a little bit difference in color. And that is going to be the next layer up. And the reason I do that is it's a little bit lighter, but it blends with the darker color. If you use such a contrast and difference, unless that is what you're going for, if you want it to blend, you want to do something that's just a little bit lighter in color to what your darkest color is, unless you really need the contrast. And I actually take advantage of the background paper. It's part of what I consider part of the flower. So I don't have to color that entire flower in because it's yellow. I just want to highlight it to make it look a little bit more 3D. Okay, I think we got to get some over here more. All right, that looks good there. Now we're going to go to the fairy's wings. All right, and that's what we're going to do. Oh, I am going to put some of that color up here just to give it some highlight. Just a little bit, because I'm adding actually a brighter orange up here. You can see that's not a lot. Okay. All right. I also believe this is the same color, yes, that I used on her. Well, maybe it's not. It must be the brighter color I used. So, okay, we're good with this one. The next color we're going to be using happens to be one that I didn't pull out. Let me get that really quick. There we go. Okay, the next color, which I didn't show at the beginning, this one is yellow ochre. And basically this one just again pulls this color up just a little bit further, the petals, and then I go to the very tips of each petal, because then it looks like there's an arc of color which kind of blends in and makes the petals look like they're bending a little bit. Again, this is just a quick version. And you can see, like I said, how I'm using the color of the background as part of my flower. Okay. And this part down here is a little bit darker on the flower, so this color is not showing up as bright, but that's how it would be if it's further down anyway. I think it worked really well. Okay. Try to see, I need one, just this last one's left. Normally I would also sharpen my pencil a little bit more often than what I'm doing for the video. If I find that I can't get to the point that I want to get to, like because the end of this is too dull, I will sharpen it so I can get a finer point, like for the ends of these flowers. I will sharpen it. I'm making it work right now, but that's what I would do normally. All right, I think the flowers are good. Now we're going to continue on with the fairy's wings. And at this point, I'm going all the way to the end to get that all colored in. Okay. And then I'm going to, I think from looking at my photo, yeah. So the next thing I will do is using this brighter color. It is pale vermilion. I think that's how you say it. And what I'm going to be doing for that is highlighting even a little bit more the color I did previously by just pulling out a couple spots to make it pop a little bit more. Just a few. But I am definitely going to be doing it up here. So that's going to be the predominant color up here on all the fairy notes. I wanted them to pop. So if you do this quickly, you can see that it takes about 10-12 minutes to get this colored in. And I'm doing the flowers in her hair. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if this is the color that I used on her body. I think I did, but it's not showing up like the other one did. Oh, there it goes. I just can't see it because of where my pencil was. This is not a very prominent big color, but you can see it does give some color to it. It's hard to see on here. The last thing that I would do is I would get a green and color that in also. And that color, which again I didn't have at the beginning, is apple green. And I just pull out the green and color in. These are actually leaves, and you could see it better on my original one, and I really apologize for that, but I'll show you the original again because you can see them better. Let me show you. So that's the coloring of the green on the skirt. So then the last thing that I do is I use this gel sparkle pen. It's a gold one from Pentel. And actually what I do is I go into each one of these little circles that are in the middle. See if you can see that. In the middle of the flower, and I add all of that glitter to them. It pops when you have it in for real. It doesn't show up as much when you do the color, but here we go. You can see the difference. And I do that for all of those centers. I just have the two. And then I come back in. There's these little beads. They're like beads. I don't know what they really are. At the bottom of her skirt. And then I also just highlight the guitar right through the center there. You can see that. And then I give a little bit of a highlight to the top of the wings. Just little dots. And throughout wherever I feel like putting them. Like if I think it's something that's sitting up closer to the top of the wing, I'll just put these little dots. And it looks really nice. All right, now for the fairy notes, I just basically do the same thing up here. I dot that, and then basically I dot underneath each one. There's little dots in these, so let me show you. There's little dots at the bottom, and so then I just go through and dot those with the gel pen. And it's actually really pretty. And it just gives it a really nice highlight. You don't have to go on top of those same dots. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't really show that way. Like if you put that on, it doesn't mess up what's there. And I think that's the best way to say it. I'm coming around this way because if I put my hand back over what I just did, it'll smear. So this stuff doesn't dry right away. So don't go sticking your hand on it. Give yourself, give yourself a little bit of time, or actually just do the parts that you're not going to stick your hand in right away. So that's basically all I do for the, actually it'd even be pretty on this. Didn't do that on my original, but I like that idea. Right where it highlights to add a little bit of gold. Okay. So that is the look that you get for making this card. It was pretty quick to make it. And again, I'm going to show you the original one. You can see the details in that. And oh, one other thing that I did do, and I could show you that very quickly, is as always on my wings, whenever I do them, I like to use this. It's by Folk Art Extreme Glitter Hologram. I am not sure that they are still creating this, but there's something I'm sure similar out there that has a little bit of glitter and it's see-through. So it's not opaque, it's translucent, and it's got glitter in it. It's very, very pretty. So what I do, and again, you got to be careful, if you go over the gel pen, because they're acrylic, it could wipe the gel pen away. So I go next to it. Your other option is you could actually put this on first and then do your gel pen. It doesn't really matter once it dries. But that's all I do to all the wings, is I just add a little bit of this hologram paint, acrylic paint. And again, like I said, this is translucent paint. It is not opaque. It would be similar to, I think a lot of people companies have made pens that you can do glitter pens with. But I found this was much easier. I didn't have to worry about the pens clogging that they always do with glitter. All right, so that just needs to dry a little bit, and you will find that that's translucent. And we're done. So I hope you enjoyed that little tutorial. I will be making more cards. We'll blip that up. I will be making more cards using the moon backgrounds that I made previously in another video. So you can see how you can transform them. So again, I hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe if you haven't, and like the video, and I'll leave all the information down below in the description what I used. Thank you.